There is a kind of pain that doesn't show up on scans, doesn't leave bruises, doesn't bleed, but lives quietly inside your chest like a stone that gets heavier every year. And that is the pain you carry when you spend your whole life keeping your feelings inside and pretending you're fine. You become good at it over time. You learn how to force a smile when someone asks how you are. You learn which jokes to make, so people think you are okay. You learn how to change the topic quickly when conversations come too close to what you really feel. You laugh at the right moments, nod at the right sentences, send the right emojis, and on the outside, everything looks normal. Inside, though, there is a whole world of thoughts and emotions that never make it out. You replay arguments in your head that you never had. You imagine replies to things people said, but you stayed silent. You hold back tears at night because you don't want to be dramatic, because you've been told to be strong. Because somewhere along the line you were taught that showing emotion is weakness, or trouble, or a burden to others. So you swallow it all instead. At first, bottling up your feelings can feel like a skill. You think you're being mature, calm, in control. You tell yourself you don't need to talk about everything, that you can handle it alone. When someone hurts you, you shrug it off and say, "It's whatever." When you're disappointed, you say, "It's fine." When you're scared, you say, "I'll manage." You protect other people from your truth because you don't want to make them uncomfortable. Or because every time you started to open up in the past, you were told to stop, to toughen up, to not make a scene. Your mind learns a simple rule: keep it inside, where it's safer. But feelings don't disappear just because you push them down. They compress. They go deeper. They wait. Sometimes they turn into other feelings that are harder to understand. Sadness unspoken can turn into numbness. Anger unexpressed can turn into silent resentment. Fear unacknowledged can turn into constant anxiety that feels like it comes from nowhere. Your body is not separate from your emotions. It hears all of them. When you feel something intense and refuse to express it in any way, your body still has to deal with the energy of it. Think about the last time you were really upset and didn't say anything. Your jaw tightened. Your shoulders raised. Your stomach twisted. Maybe your heart pounded, your throat felt tight, your hands shook slightly, and yet you swallowed your words and smiled. In that moment, your body carried what your voice would not. If this happens once in a while, you move on. But when it becomes your lifestyle, when every day you silence yourself in big and small ways, your body becomes a storage unit for everything you never let yourself release. Headaches, tense shoulders, a heavy chest, unexplained fatigue, stomach issues. Sometimes these are not random. They are your body expressing what your mouth will not. Relationships change too when you never show how you really feel. On the surface, you might be easy to be around. You rarely complain, rarely confront, rarely start difficult conversations. You might even be the one everyone calls chill or strong or the mature one. People may rely on you, vent to you, tell you their problems, because you look like you can handle anything without needing anything in return. Inside, though, you might feel increasingly alone. You listen to everyone else, but nobody truly listens to you, partly because they never get the chance. They don't know when something hurts you because you act like it. They don't notice when you're exhausted because you say you're fine. They don't realize they've crossed a line because you never show them where the line is. Over time, you can start to feel used or invisible. You sit in rooms full of people who love the idea of you, the version of you who is always okay, but they don't actually know the real you. The one who is quietly struggling, confused, angry, or sad. Misunderstandings grow in this silence. When someone says something that hurts, and you say nothing, they believe they haven't done anything wrong. The hurt stays with you, though. You think about it later, add it to the list of things they should already know, and your resentment grows quietly. The next time they do something small, it feels huge, not because of the act itself, but because it's sitting on top of all the unspoken moments from before. Eventually, you might explode over something that looks minor from the outside, and then you're labeled as overreacting because nobody saw the 1,000 cuts that came before. Or you might never explode. At all, you might just slowly pull away. You answer messages with less energy. You stop initiating contact. You become distant. People sense the distance but don't know why. You tell them you're just busy or tired. They accept it. A friendship, a relationship, a connection dies, not because of one big fight, but because of years of unsaid truths. Your mind doesn't get a break either. When you don't let your feelings out, they stay inside your head and replay like a looped video. You overthink everything. What they said, what you wish you had said. Simple situations become complicated in your imagination because you have no outlet to test your thoughts against reality. If you spoke, someone could say, "No, I didn't mean it that way," or "I'm sorry," or "Let's fix this." When you stay silent, your brain fills the empty space with its own scripts, and those scripts are often harsher than the truth. You assume people are angry when they're just distracted. You assume you're not valued when they simply don't understand what you need. You assume the worst because you're used to carrying the worst alone. Over time, always keeping your feelings inside can blur your sense of self. When you never say what you like, dislike, want, or fear, you start to forget those answers yourself. You become someone who simply adjusts to the people and situations around you. If others are happy, you act happy. If others are logical, you act logical. You become a mirror instead of a person. You might find it hard to answer simple questions like, what do you really want? What do you genuinely enjoy? What hurts you? What are your boundaries? You're so used to suppressing your reactions to avoid conflict or judgment that eventually you don't even see your reactions clearly. You confuse not speaking with not caring, but they're not the same. You might care deeply and say nothing, and that gap between your inner world and your outer behavior is where a lot of pain grows. Sometimes, the reason you bottle up your feelings goes back to experiences where vulnerability was punished instead of protected. Maybe you were told as a child that crying was annoying or shameful. Maybe you were mocked for expressing fear or sadness. Maybe every time you spoke your truth, someone responded by making it about themselves, or dismissing you, or using your words against you later. Your nervous system learned that being open is dangerous, so it built a shield. The shield looks like jokes, like changing the subject, like saying I don't care when you care deeply. It looks like acting cold when you are actually sensitive. It looks like disappearing when you are overwhelmed. That shield kept you safe at some point, and it's important to honor that. But if you carry it into every relationship and every part of your life, it also keeps love, understanding, and help away emotionally. Living like this can lead to a constant background sadness that you can't quite explain. You might not cry often. In fact, you might hardly ever cry, but you feel a low, heavy feeling inside most days, like something is missing or wrong. You may lose interest in things you used to enjoy, not because you suddenly hate them, but because carrying unspoken hurt all the time is exhausting. It takes so much energy to hold everything in that you have little left for joy. You might start to feel numb, not strongly happy or strongly sad, just flat. People might tell you that you're calm or unbothered, but inside, you know it's not calm. It's shut down. When good things happen, you feel like you're watching them from behind glass. When bad things happen, you shrug and say, "Of course," because you've secretly been expecting them. Physically bottling up emotions for years can contribute to chronic stress. Your body stays in a state of half-alert, half-defensive mode, never fully relaxed. You might clench your jaw, grind your teeth at night, have constant muscle tension in your neck and shoulders, feel pressure in your chest or a knot in your stomach for no obvious reason. You might get sick more often because your immune system is quietly affected by the stress hormones your body keeps producing. You might overeat or lose appetite, sleep too much or too little. Use distractions like scrolling, gaming, or constant work to avoid feeling what's underneath. None of these make you weak or crazy. They're simply signs that your inner world needs attention, not silence. The hardest part of always keeping your feelings inside is that it can trick you into believing that nobody cares, when in reality, people don't even know what's going on with you. You write entire stories in your head about how others would react if you opened up. They'll laugh, they'll leave, they'll think I'm too much. They'll say I'm overreacting. Sometimes those fears come from real past experiences, but sometimes they're just fears. You never give anyone a chance to prove you wrong. So you walk through life with this heavy, secret belief that you are alone in your pain. No one could possibly understand you, that there is no point in trying. You might even become the person who tells others to open up, to talk, to reach out, while you personally never do. You're good at being there for everyone else, but never let anyone be there for you. And yet, despite all of this, there's still a part of you that wants to be known. That part shows up in small bursts, a long message you type and then delete. A moment when your voice shakes on the phone, a late-night note in your journal, a song you listen to on repeat because it says what you can't. That part of you is not weak. It's the most honest, alive part of you. It knows that holding everything inside forever is not sustainable. It knows that one day, all the unsaid words will either come out in ways you can't control, or turn inwards and hurt you quietly. It knows that you deserve more than a life where you are always acting okay in public and breaking slowly in private. What happens if you always keep your feelings? Inside is not one single moment of collapse, but a slow erosion of your connection to yourself and others. You become harder to read, harder to reach, harder to truly love, not because you're unlovable, but because you never show people where to find you. You carry storms in silence, and then wonder why nobody brings you an umbrella. You remain the strong, quiet, reliable one in everyone's story, but never the main character in your own. Years can pass like this. Birthdays, seasons, hard times, good times, all passing through you while your real emotions stay locked under your ribs. It's unseen and unheard. But the story doesn't have to end that way. Opening up doesn't mean pouring your heart out to everyone you meet, or posting your pain online, or crying in every conversation. It can start much smaller, much softer. It can begin with being honest with yourself first, admitting in your own mind that something hurt you instead of brushing it off, acknowledging when you feel sad, ashamed, angry, or scared, instead of immediately distracting yourself. It can be as simple as writing down what you feel in a notebook, giving your emotions a place outside your body for the first time. It can be choosing one safe person, a friend, a sibling, partner, and telling them a little bit more truth than you usually would. Not everything at once. Just a little more at first. Your voice might shake. You might feel stupid, dramatic, exposed. You might want to take your words back even as you say them. That's normal when you've spent years punishing yourself for feeling. But if the person listening is kind, if they simply accept your words and thank you for trusting them, something powerful happens. Your nervous system experiences proof that opening up can be safe. If the person listening is not kind, if they dismiss you or mock you, that hurts. But it is not the end of the story. It just means they were not a safe container for your truth. Your feelings are not wrong just because someone else couldn't hold them. They remain valid, and you remain worthy of being heard by someone who can. Over time, expressing yourself in small, honest ways can change the way you feel in your own skin. The stone in your chest may not disappear overnight, but it becomes lighter, like you're taking pieces out of it and placing them where they belong in conversations, in pages, in actions. You begin to notice earlier when something is wrong, instead of realizing it only after you're completely overwhelmed. You learn to say, "That bothered me," when it bothers you, instead of letting it rot in silence. You learn to say, "I need help," before you collapse. You learn to say, "I'm not okay," and continue breathing, realizing the world doesn't end when you're honest. In fact, your world may begin. What happens if you always keep your feelings inside? You slowly disappear behind your own mask. But what happens if you start, even a little, to let them out in healthy ways? You come back. Your laugh becomes real again. Your relationships deepen. Your body softens its constant tension. Your nights become a little less haunted by unspoken thoughts. You start to belong in your own life. And you understand, maybe for the first time, that being human was never about staying strong and silent all the time. It was always about learning how to carry both your strength and your softness, your independence and your need for others, your thoughts and your feelings, without being ashamed of any of them.